The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties. Well, hello and good evening. It is Tuesday, August 8, 2023. Welcome to the only show about Spartan Dawgs, hosted by real Spartan Dawgs. This is Sparta MSU. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, played back in the Perlis and Saban eras as a center and team captain. I could not do this without my dogs in the fight. Otis Wiley, who's on assignment right now, doing the Lord's work, and Jehuu Caulcrick, who's right here, single season touchdown leader as a running back for John L. Smith and Mark D'Antonio. Look, guys, if this is your first time, we welcome you. If this is not your first time, we thank you. Be sure to go to the live chat because that's where the party's at. Everybody's in there right now. I see you. You guys are cranking it up as we love to see every day. And don't forget to follow us on all of our social media handles. This is Sparta MSU. This is Sparta MSU on all of our social media platforms. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that like and subscribe because Choo Choo needs that, because Choo Choo learned a little bit something this weekend. It was his birthday. That's one thing. But it was also Summer Slam, the Choo Choo Summer Slam event. How was it this weekend, Choo?
Oh, it was a great event. It was, downtown Detroit was absolutely buzzing. You had a Tigers game that was just about to let up. You had the Smokey Robinson concert crowd. You had WWE SummerSlam crowd. So it was really buzzing downtown. It's a lot of fun. Coach Culp, he was the winner. So got to, hang out with him. Had a few bevies, a few toddies, if you please.
There he is. Oh, man. You got the NWO shirt, Coach Culp, Steve, and a Hulkamania. Oh, they're ready to roll.
Yeah, I even had to break out a new shirt for that.
That is. I see. Hey, with the guns popping in the belt.
Popping. Tell me they.
Is that Cuzzo? Damn.
There it is.
That's you in the pregame.
That's that one right there. That's the one with the guns popping there. I had to break out the freshie.
Yeah, man. Any exciting things happen, when you're watching the SummerSlam event? I heard Logan Paul was there.
Yeah, Logan Paul, he was the opening match of the night. He went against Ricochet. He had to be strategically the opening match because right after his match was over, he had to jump in the car, jump on a private jet, fly from Detroit to Dallas because his brother was fighting Nate Diaz that night. So he got there still in his wrestling gear and everything. I don't understand why he couldn't change on the plane, but that's neither here nor there. But he made it in time. But it was a great night. There was the biggest Detroit, shout out to the people of Detroit there. They really know how to throw a party, how to throw an event. That was the largest non-WrestleMania crowd for a WWE event. 59,194 people packed Ford Field last Saturday for the biggest party of the summer. And this is Sparta. We're thankful we had the opportunity, to gift, do a ticket giveaway. That's what you get. Those are the things that happens when you're a loyal listener and subscriber. You get to, enter these different contests and stuff. Because straight, there's going to be a lot more contests and stuff that we're going to do coming up. So, if you're not a subscriber, you better jump, subscribe, and so you don't miss opportunities. Football season's coming up. Ticket giveaways, all those things.
Without a doubt, football season's right around the corner, and then followed by basketball season. Michigan State is primed and ready to have Choo Choo giving up a lot of tickets. And, I know Otis is working on some of those right now so that we can have great experiences for everybody who comes, loyal listeners and followers of our show. We want to give you something. And there's going to be some other stuff that we're going to talk about that is especially for our Yeah, don't say it. Don't, okay, we won't say it. We won't talk about it right now.
That's too hot.
It is a little hot. It's a little hot, But speaking of basketball and football, MSU comes in at number 4 on the list of dominant college football and basketball programs since 2013.
Yeah, that's pretty big. You have schools that, sometimes you have a school that one's really good and then the other sports not, and you have fans that's like, oh, can't wait for basketball season, or at least we have football. But to be in that list that both programs are dominant, that says something about what's cooking in East Lansing. That says something about the culture in East Lansing when it comes to the sports. And Spartan fans should take pride in that, and they should appreciate that they, have in the fall, they have a football team that they can go and watch. I get last year wasn't the year that we wanted. And then in the winter, you have a basketball team that you can, go in the Brez and watch and cheer on, because year in and year out, we're, putting on a good product for the fans.
That's right. Want to get back to those glory days where you have college football playoff representation and the Final Four. I mean, that's the goal for everybody. Let's look at that list one more time. That list, I think at the top of the list was Ohio State, Oregon, followed by Oregon, then Alabama, then Michigan State. And we're above the most important school that we need to be above. That's good for us. School down the road comes in at number 5. As Chew gets a little bit of that little shake. You need that. Got to have that energy, bro.
I need that energy. I need that juice. This crowd's giving me the juice. Drop some pancakes. Drop something. Give me that juice.
He needs it. 59,000 at Ford Field took a little juice out of him, along with the beverages and Steve Culp, which was a great time. But Chew needs some energy, so give him some energy now.
Let's just say the tequila was flowing.
That Mexican fire water?
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy. Man, that's had to be a dangerous night right there. But that's okay. You're an athlete. You recover nicely. Moving on. Nick Samac makes the Remington watch list for the nation's best center. Check that out. Nick Samac, great athlete, coming back as a leader on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. As a former running back, you always love when your center, who's like the brainchild of the offense, so to speak, he has to get down, make the calls, where the line's going to slide and everything. I know the quarterback gets a lot of that admiration and appreciation, but really the center comes down there, identifies the fronts, identify where the mic is. The quarterback relays all that information as well. If you have a center that has all that and can snap the ball and play and block somebody, that's pretty good. So these running backs are going to be in pretty good hands, with that guy leading the line there.
Yeah, Nick Samac, one of the best athletes on the team for Michigan State, one of the stronger athletes and faster. And he's always at the top of the charts as far as his mile per hour. They track everything nowadays.
You see how I gave the center some love there, Stray?
Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, you just tee it up because look, you're smart. That's why you were good. That's why you had all those touchdowns, because you gave the centers and the O-line love.
Exactly. Mama didn't raise no fool.
Heck no. Heck no. No, that's how you got to do it, man. And Samac, JD playing those two guys in the middle there that have played together for a long time. It makes it a lot easier, a lot of continuity there. Kind of like that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, Jason Kelsey and all those guys that go to Stoutland University over there. So Cap, he's got him one. Cap's got him one on the Remington list. Looking forward to seeing him have a successful season when it starts on September 1st. Now, Chew, we got to get into some serious conversation here. The news dropped this past week. Oregon and Washington have now joined the Big Ten. What do you think about this? For 2024, now there's also USC and UCLA will be joining. We knew that. But now Oregon and Washington is also going to be joining the Big Ten, making it 18 teams.
Yeah, 18 teams coming in. It's mind-boggling. It shows that money makes the world go around. Money makes the NCAA go around. Money makes the college football go around. You're seeing that with NIL, you're seeing it with transfer portal. Now you're seeing with these expansions for the conferences. It's going to be really interesting. Football, they can handle it. It's that week time there. You have a week between games, and if you're going to the West Coast, you can go on a Thursday, to get all that. But like the other sports, the basketballs, the volleyballs, the soccers, the tennis, how are they going to be able to make those work, because at the end of the day too, you have to remember these are student athletes.
Did they forget that the first part of that, the student part?
That's something you have to remember as well. So if you're playing a volleyball match on a Tuesday, you're playing in Oregon and you're Rutgers, like Tony L and I were talking about. You're making that trip. You got, are you going to lose class time? What's going on? Do you have to take tutors with you? All those things have to come into play. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they make this work from an academic standpoint of things, because I think sometimes that gets lost in it, because you hear, this team's joining, you just hear athletic, athletics, but you also have to think academic as well.
Yeah, there's just no doubt about it. Like the academic part, logistically, like how do they figure that out? And then also, to me, look, I'm a capitalist. I get that. I understand the business side of it. It's huge. I love having the Big Ten being able to be a coast-to-coast conference now. You're literally expanded from the Pacific Ocean all the way to the Atlantic Ocean now with the footprint for the Big Ten, which is awesome. However, it comes at a cost of a lot of the traditional rivalries. You grew up like I did with the Big Ten and the Pac-10, and the best schools from the best teams in both of those conferences face each other in the Rose Bowl. Well, that's gone away. You have the Big 10, Big 16, now it's the Big 18, Pac-12. It's literally blown apart right now, and you lose rivals as a guy like we are. We're Spartans. We're state school. We're a state school. Washington State and Oregon State have now lost their built-in rivalry with a conference foe. Being Oregon State, and Washington State. I mean, look, Cal and Cal Berkeley and Stanford too. They're just hanging out in the wind right now. Arizona and Arizona State moved over, and BYU, they moved over to the Big 12. Chew?
Yeah, I think they need to, now if you're going to do the expansion, why stop at 18? Go with 20. So you can split, have two divisions, and one can be called the Big 10, and the other division on the West Coast can be called the Pac-10.
Big 10, East Big 10.
Split the two divisions, and so you can have a 10-game conference schedule, and then you can also preserve some of those rivalries, the Washington State games, because you'll have, that, 3-game, 2-3-game slate there that you can play your rivalries.
Looking at how it's going to play out too, like, we're going from a 4-team playoff. This is the last year of the old school right now, so next year you go from a 4-team playoff to 12. They didn't incrementally go up to 6 or 8. No, we go right to 12 in 2024 with these massive new mega conferences. As we know, Oklahoma and Texas moving over to the SEC. There's a whole new Big 12 coming into play. What does this look like when you talk about the wear and tear now on college athletes, specifically football? We can get into the non-revenue, the Olympic sports later. But when you look at the game of football, because we're on the horizon of the football season, these players are now going from being asked to play 12 games, potentially a 13th game in a bowl, or maybe a 14th if you go to a conference championship. Now, if you want to win a national title, you're hitting 16 games as a football player at the college level, Chew.
Yeah, there's an old additive in the NFL that once you get past, you get into week 13, week 14, they call it, you hit that rookie wall, because you're not used to playing, in the NFL, the 16, 17 games. Now, they're going to be ready for the next level if they choose to go play the next level, if you have the opportunity to go on and play their 16 games. But also too, with I don't think the wear and tear is going to be such a big factor with this, especially with the technology nowadays, the nutrition nowadays. The coaches are really learning. You don't. It's not like back in the day, Stray, where we were banging in pads, 5 days a week. Now they have all the different, measurements on you. What's your heart rate? How many steps are you taking? So they take care of the guys. I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on the body physically as it is on that mental side of things. The things that you have to worry about now is that the nutrition piece. When do you eat if you're going to the West Coast? How do you get your body acclimated? When do you sleep? What time? So are you going to practice at 9 in the morning if you're a West Coast team, because you're going to be coming, if you have a noon game or whatever, are you going to be playing at noon? So to get your body right. So I think those things beyond the X's and O's are going to be the things that is going to be a bigger issue than the physical side. I think they can tone down the physicality, but also too with these alignment and these people joining, those Pac-12 schools are going to have to recruit differently now because they're playing a different style of football. Pac-12 is more of a finesse style, other than Stanford, and Stanford's the only true, ground and pound type of team out there. But those other, the USCs, the Cals, the Washingtons, they're more of a finesse team. And so that's what they're going to have to learn to recruit bigger body guys.
Yeah, and more East Coast guys. If you think about it, that's something that's going to be needed right away. Guys that aren't shocked by the temperature drop, especially in November, late October, November, playing in, like as we talk about all the time, like what it's like to play in Happy Valley, in Penn State, on the road in November. It's not easy. And if you're a guy, a West Coast kid that's always played in California and in Seattle, maybe. Look, it could be a reckoning that comes along, and that recruiting piece is huge. How are they going to construct their teams? But you're right. I think the technology, we gripe about this as old football players, like, man, they don't have to do the running test. They don't bang as much. They don't do the 2-a-days like we used to do. But it's like the science was already put out there, which kind of paved the road for these massive expansion conferences, so that athletes will be acclimated to be able to go 16 games coast to coast all year, all season long. It's definitely a different world when you think about the conference realignment. To me, I think that, look, there's going to be an adjustment period. I think that ultimately this will be good for the game. It's the people, the fans are getting smarter, the players are getting smarter, everyone is getting smarter how to do things. I just don't want to lose those regional special rivalries that were always there, that they don't deserve to be, have their hearts ripped out like that. There's parents for Oregon State players that I know, players at Washington State, Cal for sure, and also Stanford, that are just kind of like, what do we do now? So they're stuck at 18 right now. I think there's opportunity for them to continue to expand. Maybe, there's rumors of Cal and Stanford going to the ACC, which is mind blowing too. That's all the way on the East Coast playing, and then there's, we just don't know what's going to continue to happen. But I think they have started to push pause a little bit on the massive expansion. This just happened within a 48-hour period, and just a lot to take in right now. So, look, Chew, the sky's the limit on this thing, man, when you talk about where we are going with college football. And we know that the dollar is the almighty driving force behind it. And the Big Ten, with a $7 billion deal, let's get into the financials of it real quick. The two new teams, now you're talking about Washington and Oregon, will not be taking a 1/18th share when they come in. There is a step-up plan. So, instead of, I think all the teams are getting 60 plus million, they're going to start in the 30 range and then kind of step up $1 million a year. So they've worked those numbers out a little bit. But look, man, this is definitely not the same college football that you and I played in.
Absolutely not. And if I'm some of these original teams here, and you have that big $1 billion contract there, and more teams, that's more and more slices of a piece of your pie that's going to be going away there. So you got to be like, wait a second here, we can't have too many more coming. Yeah, it's good for the program, but hey,
we got to go back to the table, renegotiate, add a couple more B's in this, because you're getting to a Big Ten merging with the Pac-12, the best of the Pac-12, if from a ratings perspective.
Right.
It's going to be different. I'd love to get thoughts on this from our guest who's going to be joining us.
Oh, well, real quick, one thing that I hope happens, I hope nobody picks Notre Dame up. I hope they suffer in that lowly NBC deal that they have going with them.
Tell me how you really feel. But I think they just re-upped their NBC deal. But
they're not getting that kind of. They're not getting Big Ten money.
No, they're not. They don't want it. They want to be national. But like the Big Ten is national now. When you think about it, they had their chance. They didn't want to do it. Notre Dame is, independent. They want to stay over there in beautiful South Bend, Indiana.
South Bend's a shithole, but.
We need that rivalry back, by the way. We need that. The megaphone trophy. You remember that? Like that's a trophy game that they've taken away from us. That's a traditional rivalry that I'd love to see come back. Notre Dame, man, growing up as an Indiana kid, you love to kick their asses, we really do. Love it. South Bend is a shithole. There's an idea for some swag right there. There it is. If you didn't know, swag is on the way. This is Sparta MSU. Look, we're going to talk to 247's own Corey Robinson after this message from our friends over at IHOP.
$5 all-you-can-eat pancakes are back to celebrate IHOP's 65th anniversary. So come on in, even if it's your birthday, too. Available for a limited time, only at IHOP. Download the app and start earning free food.
All right, without further ado, let's bring in our resident recruiting analyst and expert from 247. Corey Robinson joins the show. Welcome to this Sparta MSU once again, Corey. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Corey, so question for you. Can I get a 247 sports hat, or if I get one and wear it, is that like stolen valor? Can I not, you have to be in to wear it?
No, they have stores that you can buy this stuff. I think it's public type of thing, but yeah, got the trucker hat, the shirt. So I advertise for him today.
You see how Corey just big boyed me though, right? I said, "Can I get one?" He's like, "They have stores."
They have stores for that. He's cool, huh?
like the top of the line stuff. We used to be able to get them from all over the place, but now they've centralized it to one place with the trademarks where everybody gets that way. But so I guess you're getting the authentic stuff if you go there. But you could get some good stuff in the past though, where you could pick the quality of the shirt or whatever and get it. But this stuff works out for me, and I wear it to the games or camps, and now on your show today. But
people know who you are and where you're working. We like that. That's why we want to get some swag for you all in the group chat. We're going to get some swag. This is Sparta MSU swag coming to you at a store near you very soon, Chew. There it is. I said it. It's going to happen.
Corey, I'll even get you a shirt for free. See?
Absolutely. You want to wear that.
I'm going to tell you.
We can do like a sideline trade-off like they do after games.
Take a picture. That's awesome. Corey, getting into what's going on at camp. I know there's been a little bit of noise as far as recruiting is concerned. When you look at the Spartan Dawg Con, that was about 2 weeks ago. What were recruits saying after that event? And then we're going to get into the camp breakdown. So talk to us about the Spartan Dawg Con.
Yeah, there's a lot of positive stuff there. Obviously, I imagine you guys were at it too, so you got to kind of see it, where a lot of the recruit reaction was just how it was a total show, from the whole staff and the former players. like when you usually would ask them, be like, "Oh, who are you talking to?" It would always be their position coach, after they take a visit. But with the Spartan Dawg Con event, you got a lot more answers from people where they're like, "Oh, I can't name like one guy." Like, of course, I talked to my position coach. I spent a lot of time with him, but honestly, I spent time with the entire staff. I spent time with former players, and then the current players, and just the other commits and recruits that were there. So I think obviously what they are going for in that event is to create a family feel for not only the recruits, but for the former players coming back, the players that are there, and all of that. So from talking to everyone I did, obviously they achieved that, where everybody was really impressed with, just the family feel that they had going on there. Most of the people there, a lot of the people there were already committed in the 2023 class, or 2024 class, sorry. So, having them around, but you saw a lot of offensive linemen, and 25 and 26 were there. Some of the in-state linebackers from Cass Tech, Cassius Shivers was one. They had Stratton, defensive back from Roseville, same school as Tyrell Henry, who I think has a chance to be a breakout player. So yeah, everybody just talked about the family feel, and that they fed him really well, and they just and then of course the uniform unveiling too. I think most people I talked to, they liked all of the jerseys, but the black was their favorite ones that they saw.
You brought up a couple of players, the Cass Tech play in Roseville, but you said the 2025 and 6 O linemen. Any players that in particular that stick out to you? I kind of know a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, Avery Gott, he's a good one. Like I think he's right outside the top 100 right now. I think he's probably a top 50 talent. Like I think he's that good. I think you're going to see him have a huge year this year and kind of raise up those things. He's at Groves, same school as Jaden Mangum, the most likely starting safety this year for Michigan State, same high school there. Then we had Gregory Patrick, 2026, Portage Northern offensive lineman. His dad, Joe, played at Michigan State. I believe he played 3 coaches. I think he was the Saban, Williams, John L. trained, just with his timing of here. He's got an offer already here. Ben, no, I'm losing his name. Ben Nichols, another in-state 2026, just a monster kid. He's like 6'5", 6'6", 325 already, going into his sophomore year. But he moves really well. He was a kid that camped at Michigan State in June, and that's when him and Patrick both earned their offers, were off of camp performances. But he moves really well for that size, so I think there's a possibility that he could be a right tackle in the future. But my money would be that he's going to be one of them huge. He's just going to keep growing, and he's going to be one of those interior linemen that you see at Georgia or Alabama, where it's 6'5", 6'6" guards that are 340 and just can move. And then Khalif Canty, a Cass Tech 2026 offensive tackle. He's got the offer. He actually got that before, I think during his freshman year. He was the first one to get it out of the 2026. So he was there. And I think Michigan State's done a great job getting ahead early with those type of guys. So, which, as you know, that's the key to your foundation, is getting your offensive line right. And the state of Michigan, to have that many good offensive linemen in 2026 already, I've never seen that in my time covering it, where they've kind of already separated themselves that early. And like I said, Avery is an elite offensive lineman that could play anywhere in the country. He's got an offer from Michigan State, of course, Alabama, Georgia, he's got every offer. So, he's got his parents graduated from Michigan State. His sister goes to Michigan State, I think. I don't believe she's graduated yet. So he's got that in his bloodlines. He's been growing up around Michigan State, but just like with your son, Stray, it's, coming down to developing. They're going to see what's out there. And if Michigan State is the best spot for them, then they'll follow that family footprint. And if it's not, then, they have every opportunity across the country to do it.
I spent some time with Avery's father. So him and my son actually played against each other in baseball back in the 11U days, way back. So I do remember them. Big kid, good looking family all the way around. And you're having what you have like 326s listed here. These are rising sophomores. It's about time to be calling them a sophomore now. School's almost in session, youngsters. But that's amazing. You don't see that kind of concentrated talent in many states at one position, which is that's big for Michigan.
That is absolutely huge. And I think, just from listening to this I know people want to talk about football. They want to say Texas, Florida, Ohio, Cali, and all that stuff. But Corey, is Michigan closing the gap a little bit when it comes to the talented high school kids?
I think they can match some spots at offensive line, especially. I think that's a good spot for the state of Michigan because, even if you think about it, Caden's at IMG, but he was born in Michigan and kind of created his legacy started there. So that's 5 guys in 25 and 26 that are elite level Power 5 guys. So I think offensive line most years they can kind of hang with a lot of states. They do a good job with defensive backs too, which is odd with the lack of throwing that you see in the state of Michigan. but they've done a good job. It's just harder to, I think, for coaches to be able to discover those type of guys just because you're not seeing them. You turn on a defensive back from Cass Tech or somewhere like that, and maybe 3 minutes of their 4-minute tape is playing run support, which is obviously important. But then you turn on some defensive back from California, and almost the entire thing is pass coverage, just because it's just different how the offenses are run. But if you have the ability and you can take the coaching, I think the state, especially Detroit, Michigan, has proven that they've been able to develop a ton of really successful defensive backs at the Power 5 and getting them to the NFL too. So Kalen King for Penn State, he's got a chance to be the best defensive back in college football this year, in my opinion. And he's out of Detroit too. So it's that. Maybe they can't hit the depth numbers of some of those other states, but they do have good top-end talent.
Yeah, think about when you're talking about the defensive backs, I think about the rookie of the year, Sauce Gardner. That's a kid who plays for the New York Jets out of Detroit. Did he play for King? He's from
he did.
Yeah, King, and then went to Cincinnati. And rookie of the year, and being up anybody out there, definitely all pro level guy. Now, I had a lot of guys during the con. My sons weren't able to come to the con. IMG locked down all players, by the way. So there's no David Stone anywhere. Look, so my son was like, Dad, I wanted to come. He wanted to come. But there were twins on campus that have the hair. And a lot of guys were like, I swear it was your sons. And they were talking to him about your father, this and that. And the guys were like, who? They had no idea. You're talking about the big fellas, I think from Ohio?
Yeah. Mercer and Chuck Lanieski.
Lanieski. I didn't want to mess that up. I'll let you do that. See how I did it?
I had to run it through my head as soon as I knew where you're going. I'm like, all right, say it right. But the big key is, I think it's Mercer has his enunciation actually in his Twitter handle. So that's what's kind of stuck in my head now is from seeing him. But yeah, those guys are some good looking prospects too, where this is year 3 for them playing offensive line. So I think you're going to see them just absolutely take a huge leap this year. They already, look to good in the summertime. Mercer won a couple MVPs at camps, but I think you're going to see Mercer and Chuck both really take that next step forward this year because, you saw them in person. They're well put together for 300 plus pound kids. There's not a lot of bad weight. They understand the eating aspect already. So it's a tribute to their parents and trainers and themselves. To stick to it. Because when I was their age, I'm eating whatever.
Exactly.
Gotta have buy-in from the athlete, right? Yeah. Mom and dad and coach can say whatever, but the kid has to buy in.
Right.
Yeah. So I think those ones are exciting players to see how they develop this year. I know Alan True with 24/7 who covers Midwest. He listed those two as guys that he expects will take a ratings bump up after they get seen this year for their senior year, just because he sees what we all are seeing, where, you know, like they're just getting started and they're already this good. So now that they have that extra year of training, extra year of just being acclimated to it, and, you know, they're students of the game, which has made it move quicker too. So, you know, they're in the film room and they're trying to figure out how to do it the way you have to in college, where it's not just line up and run a guy over anymore. So, I think they have a real good shot to really rise up. AJ Dennis, he was there, committed. He's already got his rise. I think he's just outside of the top 200 or inside the top 200, like 190th prospect in the country right now. And then Logan Bennett, he wasn't able to make it. I think they probably had the same rule as IMG, where guys weren't able to leave town because of their own camps, where he's at St. Francis Academy. Like he,
they got one hell of a schedule, man.
Yeah, and he's dominant in that. And like, to me, I don't know why he isn't ranked higher, because like if you dominate with that schedule, like you're legit. So, but I mean, he doesn't use social media at all. That's why he might make a post once every 3 or 4 months or something, you know, and he just, like, I don't even think he made his junior film until after he was committed to Michigan State this spring or summer. So I'm like, he just doesn't care about that type of thing. He just wants to maul people and just knock them over. So yeah, I think the offensive line class in 24 is probably the best one that they've brought in since Mel Tucker has arrived here. So
Corey, you struck a point that you said he doesn't have social media, and in today's day where social media is such a big opponent for promoting yourself as a player and for schools promoting themselves, does that hurt a kid for not having or not, you know, being really active and on social media?
Yeah, I think, you know, out of sight, out of mind type of thing. He doesn't go to a lot of those camps either, you know, but you know, I think his tape kind of speaks for itself when you play that schedule, national schedule. So that's why I think I would have him up higher, just based off of that. But I guess the answers of why is just, you know, it could be out of sight, out of mind, not using the social media, not going to those camps and kind of competing. But for me, like, you know, everybody's different, and especially offensive linemen, you don't want them to be too much of a me person anyways. You want that to be a we position. So yeah,
the new O-line, you know, they got swag now. You know, they wear sleeves, they wear one leg sleeve, one not. So, you know, the new O-line, that's a thing now. So.
I want to see though how many of those pan out though, because like I know Jason and I have talked about it privately. A lot of those guys that wanted so much attention during the recruiting process as offensive linemen, not every position, a lot of those guys, they don't necessarily make it in college, because like that's just not, like, the world's changed, but offensive linemen are the same. Like you just gotta shut up, not expect a lot of glory, and just do your job. Like that's just what it is. It's a thankless position that you get your thank yous from the coaches and the running backs, but a lot of that is in a post game interview with them, not you. So,
right.
I mean,
Coach Stoutland used to call the offensive line room like the mushroom club. You know,
yes.
Just throw under things and not being, you know, the mushroom club was the name for the offensive line.
You know, where do mushrooms grow? In the dark, and they get fed fertilizer from other animals. So anyway, that's that's why they call it the mushroom. That's where they thrive, in the darkness. So yeah, if you got swag as old lineman, you better damn well bring it. You know, if you're gonna be out there with the sleeve for real in the game, you better be that dude for real. Yeah, so yeah, you know, when you're talking about the recruiting cycle now, Corey, because this is something that people don't understand. It was dark for a while, then it was on for the last weekend in July. Now it's dark again. When do you expect more players to come on official visits, maybe during the season, or then to see commitments in this class crystallizing a bit for 24?
Yeah, I think some of them could take it earlier in the season, but I would guess that November, December rush is when you're really going to see like that next big wave of movement for commitments, where you still got some guys that are trying to decide before their season starts. But for Michigan State, I think there's some spots where, like linebacker, you're going to kind of reinvent that board because you swung for the fences with some guys in the summer, and you're not going to give up on those guys either. But there's some in-state guys that are Power 5 level. They have Power 5 offers. I could see Michigan State kicking the tires with them a little bit. Then I think tight end, I think that's a position that you got to reinvent. Like, I guess, I don't know if it was ever invented, honestly. There wasn't a lot of tight ends that really hit the Michigan State thing during the summer. So I think you'll see one tight end that's still got to get added. And then defensive line, and then I think the rest of it's pretty close to it. So, I mean, it's really those three positions that you're going to see them maybe create some new boards. And then at some of the positions, you got guys that are committed elsewhere that they didn't necessarily want their stuff published out there, but they visited Michigan State, and, you know, Michigan State's got a good shot with them. So, like, I know, like, Dorian Brew out of Ohio. We haven't said his name a ton, but he was posted in a lot of pictures, obviously, at Spartan Dawg Con. So I think it kind of leaked out there that he was there. So he's a defensive tackle to kind of keep an eye on going forward. You know, he didn't plan on making a decision. Yeah, so
I love it.
That sounds like an NIL.
Yeah. You better partner with Jolly Pumpkin. He have his own.
Brew you.
That's probably going to be the selling point for him, right?
Come on, Brew you, Michigan State University. So he's a D lineman. You said that. What is he? What is his
defensive tackle?
Defensive tackle.
Yeah, I think he kind of reminds me of Jarrell Worthy. How you know, not the hugest guy, but he's not too small either. But you know, he's probably 6'2", 6'3", 300 something pounds, and moves really fast. Explosion and power is kind of his game. So he's a 3-star recruit with us, but he's a good player. I think, like, if Michigan State was able to flip him, that would be huge for them. And obviously Pat Narduzzi and Chris Partridge, the defensive line coach at Pittsburgh, have done a great job finding defensive linemen and getting them to the next level. So if, you know, they were all in on him, that's probably a hint that the guy can play pretty good. So
yeah, Doozy always rearing his head around for something.
Is he committed? Where is he committed to? Pitt?
Right now he's committed to Pittsburgh. So
oh boy.
But yeah, they were not happy about him visiting, apparently, but he still made it. So we'll see. And like I said, we've kept him down at, like, the publicity wise, but a lot of people did notice him in many photos from Spartan Dawg Con, and
it kind of leaked and got over to Pittsburgh.
We knew he was. Well, he was nice. He told them ahead of time, which they were still. Yeah, they still weren't thankful for that, but
they weren't.
But I mean, he did the right thing and said, "Hey, this is what's happening." But.
But, Corey, so, like, you know, from a recruiting side to now transitioning more over to what's going on in camp, you know, I know there's a big scrimmage coming up on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of eyes on that to see, like, what the outcomes are, you know, those battles that are going on right now. You've been at practice. Have you seen any separation yet at the quarterback position between Noah Kim and the battle between Noah and Caton Hauser?
We don't really get to see a ton, but I mean, we saw Noah last year, and then we can kind of read between the lines with the coaches. I think they've said a lot of really nice things about all three of the quarterbacks, Noah Kim, Caton Hauser, and Sam Levitt, who obviously he's more of an outside guy, just getting there so late. But I think you kind of see a few hints, like maybe there's some extra comments about Noah. So, I mean, like, if I was to guess today, I think he would be the most likely scenario to be the first quarterback under snaps on September 1st when they open the season. But I think the scrimmage this Saturday and the practice reps and then the second scrimmage, I mean, those are all going to matter. And I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't expect them to necessarily have a starter out of camp. And maybe the first couple games you let Noah and Caton kind of battle it out and decide it, during the games and see which guy rises to the occasion when it matters most.
So you said, that battle out there, and I'll be the first. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of the dual quarterbacks. I want a guy. You pick your guy. We ride with this guy until, you really have to pull the leash. But, Coach Johnson did say, the possibility that they could, have a two quarterback system here. Do you think that's an actual possibility, or do you think it's just talk right now because everything's so early?
I think it's a bit of both. I think there's some talk because it's early. And I don't think you want it to linger into the season for sure. But I think, if one guy hasn't separated himself completely and you don't have that much game reps from either of them to really decide, if you're get out there and get both of them out there. I mean, obviously you don't want to lose the game or make it closer than it needs to. So if you're doing that, obviously you probably already know your answer of who your quarterback should be. If you're taking a step back to get another guy just to get him in. So, but yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing with D'Antonio too. When he was here, I think they probably should have done a better job of getting some bigger leads to get that second guy experience. When when it is his time to shine once the guy graduates or goes on to the next level or whatever, that he would have been more prepared. But obviously, looking at his track record, maybe he's smarter than me. But I mean, I think you would like to be able to know what you have, and then because injuries happen too, and so then if you have, say, Noah Kim's the guy, but then he hurts something and he's got to be out a couple of series, you want Caton Hauser to go in there confident and ready to roll just to pick up the offense, so we're not just handing it off and dumbing it down.
What's wrong with handing it off?
Nothing if you get what you need.
No doubt about it. I've heard, Caton has made comments about it, and we've seen this movie before. It's very conceivable that, Michigan State will take this battle into Central Michigan to the Richmond game. And then I think by Washington, you'll see one quarterback playing, but you may see two for the first two games, in my opinion. They want to see how a guy is going to respond under the lights. We do know we have a sample size from Noah Kim, how he responds, coming in off the bench. I think he's proven that. But to be the guy, it's still different. And same thing for Caton.
Yeah, I'm a little against that little sample size sometimes too, because what that does is if that, kind of like the same thing, and it was to Noah's benefit. So if that starting quarterback is, for example, let's just say we're playing Central, we have a 40-point lead, they put Caton in, and he's firing the ball off, doing boom, 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 boom. And then we get to the meat of the season, and that starting quarterback has a little struggle. I think that's really quick for fans to be like, well, put Hauser in because he had success against Central. So I think, that's a double-edged sword that I think coaches have to be worried about as well, when it comes to those things. So I like, play your quarterback. When you put your backup in at the end of the game, you run the football, run the clock out, and if you're on third down, do a little bootleg and act like you're
man. You have no faith in the fans' intelligence. They know the difference between garbage time.
Yeah, that and I mean, going into the Washington game, if you got to prepare for two quarterbacks because they are different styles. I mean, that's just another thing to put on the defensive coordinators and defensive coaches in Washington too. But yeah, I mean, obviously you would like somebody to just run away with it and it be obvious. And I think, that's definitely on the table, but we'll see.
I need my guy Noah Kim to get all the reps so we can make a claim for his Heisman campaign.
Oh man, we need the best guy to win Caden is not a bad kid. Listen, look, I think
Caden's not a bad kid either. I love
I like them both.
it is. But we know I'm rocking with number 10, the newly gone number 10.
No 14 on the 10.
Noah Him.
Look, Corey, any updates as far as the receiver? There's a lot of talk about the receiving room right now with Coach Hawkins. There's a lot of guys that are looking to get those catches that Jaden Reed got last year and Keon Coleman, who both, one's in the NFL, one's gone to Florida State. There's a lot of production to be had by that receiving core. We know Trey Mosley's a guy. Who else is turning heads?
Yeah, I think, too, bringing that up, like we all talk about the quarterback. Obviously, it's the most talked about position, but I think wide receiver play is kind of what's really going to make these quarterbacks, too, because, you're missing Reed, who's off in Green Bay, Keon down at Florida State. So you really only have Trey Mosley with a lot of experience and, a full understanding. But I think he's going to take some leadership role there. I think now that it's his turn, he's going to be up there and make sure guys are knowing what they got to do and everything. And then wide receiver, too. I mean, that's an athlete position to me. Like, so you can plug a guy in where maybe he doesn't have a ton of experience, but he can just go out there and do his thing because the routes are out at the end of the day. And it's going to come down to who wants to block with when you're playing for Courtney Hawkins, because that's a big piece of it. So Tyrell Henry, I think he's going to be he should have a chance to make a big impact this year. Probably one of the faster guys on the offensive side of the ball. So you can put him in the slot, move him outside a little bit. But I think he's a guy that I'm keeping an eye on to see what he can do. Jerron Glover out of Florida, same class, the 2022 class. I think, he's a big body guy, so he could be maybe that answer to Keon Coleman where you lose him, but you replace him with another really good athlete that's 6'3", 6'4", bigger body guy. And then I'm a big fan of the true freshman Smith out of Texas. Like he's a guy I thought he stayed under the radar because he came in so late. But he's a guy I think he could be a lot like Devin Thomas at Michigan State. Like I think he's that good of an athlete. Again, good size to him and everything. So that's a name I would definitely mark down. And then Montori Foster is one of the best athletes ever since he got to Michigan State. He's had some problems with injuries in the past. If he can stay healthy, I think that's someone that can make a huge adjustment or get there and make some big plays right away. He is a very good basketball player, so really good jumper at 6'2", 6'3". So they have the athletes. It's just a matter of who's going to use these practice reps and these scrimmages, and then ultimately in the game, who's going to take the job and be those top 3 or 4 guys along with Trey Mosley in the position group.
Just looking at what Michigan State football is posting live, you hear about Isaiah Johnson. That's a name.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the word on him?
Yeah, he's another really good athlete, good size. Same thing as Smith from Texas, where they came in late in December, so they weren't really on the radar a ton up until that. It was like a quick Michigan State found him, got him up on campus, got him committed. So there wasn't a ton of like recruiting coverage where a lot of these guys, you've been covering them for a year, 2 years. So you get really familiar with their names. I thought those two were huge late additions. Some people say Johnson will be the best one. Some say Smith. But I think they both have a shot to make a huge career at Michigan State. Like I mentioned earlier with Smith, I thought Devin Thomas was a good body comparison and physical skills, where I could see Isaiah Johnson being like a Benny Fowler, where he's just such a good, fast, smooth athlete, good size. Benny came in, he wasn't highly acclaimed coming in, but when you turned on the tape, you just saw a great athlete with good size. And as soon as he got to Michigan State, he almost immediately put those flashes that you saw on tape and brought it to the field right away and had a good career in the NFL as well. So
yeah, the comparison, I like that. You're comparing them to pros, Devin Thomas and
Yeah, just body type wise and film coming in. Now it's up to them, obviously, to live up to those expectations. No pressure, but that's
let's talk
what you
about
got.
the real athletes. Let's talk about the real athletes now. How's Nate Carter and the running back crew?
He just wants to jump the line. That's okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Let's talk running backs.
yeah. Obviously, I'm also a big Nate Carter fan. I think he gives them the home run threat that they were missing last year. Plus, he can just run and get those tough yards in between the tackles. I think we've seen video of him where he's like squatting 635 with ease. Like, it made it look easy. He's just a really focused kid, and like he was good at Connecticut. I think he was number 2 in the country in rushing after 3 games. Got hurt game 4, and I mean those 4 games he played, 2 of them were against top 10, 15 run defenses. So it wasn't like he just stacked them against nobodies. Coming to Michigan State, he's gotten a lot stronger. He's got that motivation because he got hurt in the Michigan game, which is now his rival. So he's got a little added extra angst and want to prove it to them because he got hurt in that game with his shoulder that put him out for the year. So I think you're going to see some extra motivation there. Jaden Mangum, he came from Colorado, then South Florida. Now he's back home at Michigan State. His brother, Jaden, will probably start at safety for Michigan State. But a Cass Tech kid originally kind of looked like he was going to come to Michigan State. There's some other running backs that jumped in and got the spot ahead of him. And then he's kind of in the background. You always heard he wanted to come back to Michigan State, and that meant a lot to him. So there's going to be some extra ownership when he puts that jersey on, at Michigan State, because he went through a lot more than a lot of kids to have this moment. So he's not going to waste those opportunities and those carries when he gets them. I think he's going to be a really good short yardage guy like Jehuu, where you got to pick up those tough yards or those touchdowns. If Ringer or Carter don't put it in, then you got a real powerful running back to pick them up and move the pile. And so they got that. And then obviously Jalen Berger, he started last year as the main guy. We've heard that he's in a lot better condition and better shape this year, added some muscle. So I think those 3 are the 3 big names that I expect out of the running back room. And then do they find a way to get Jalen Barber in some touches, just because he's probably the fastest guy. Well, he's not probably. He is the fastest guy at Michigan State on the team, and he's arguably one of the faster guys in the Big Ten out of California, where he's a shorter guy, but if you can get him out in space and let him cook, then I think that gives you the huge home run threat with him, with just his speed and ability. So,
did you say let him cook?
Yeah, let him cook outside.
Hold on. You're talking Barber, and that's a guy. What is he? A 10-3 type, 100-meter guy?
Yeah. I think it's like a 10-2, 10 low 10-3, something like that. And I know I talked to some people about him.
That's that choo-choo speed. Right,
wind aided. I don't care what wind, unless it's a hurricane, like 10-2, 10-3 is fast.
So the big question, and the question that I want to know, and I'm sure everybody's clutching their pearls right now. They want to know this: how will our kickers be?
Oh man,
good question. We got Jonathan, I think his first name, last name Kim, out of North Carolina. He handled the kickoff duty for North Carolina. He had one of the highest percentages of touchbacks in college football while doing that. So obviously, there's some uncertainty of how it's going to translate over to kicking field goals, just because he doesn't have a huge track record with that. But from what we've heard coming out of camp, everything's looking how they would hope it did when they brought him in. But yeah, a lot of pressure on him, or Steven Resnick, who came back, who was a backup last year. So those guys, like, someone's got to get it, because I think honestly, if they had like the snapping issue they had once Hank Pepper went out, and then the kicking issues, I think that led to it some. But at the end of the day, the kicker's got to get the job done. Like, you easily win the Indiana game, and you're going bowling if you could just kick a field goal from
Who was that kicker?
20-something yards.
That Stray ran out of town. What was his name last year?
Yeah.
What was the kicker's
something.
name last year?
Stone.
Ben something.
Yeah, Stone. Ben Stone. Yeah.
But he was out of Texas. He was gone really before the season.
Yeah.
The kicker that struggled in this season was Ben something
Patton.
from Patton. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So
How's Hank?
how's
Hank Pepper, that long
he's
snapper?
healthy.
He's good.
He's healthy, and I think Michigan State learned a valuable lesson because they brought in a long snapper from Ohio State
right?
also. So, and I've seen some tape of him working with the special teams guys, and he doesn't roll the ball to the holder this year, so that's an upgrade from last year's backup situation.
So his snaps are crisp.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, if you look back at the game of inches, like, I mean, they win the Indiana game if they handle business there. And I think there's one other game that's slipping my mind that, like, the loss was pretty much because of the issues that they had with the kicking game. So, I mean, that's bowl eligibility. So, I mean, so instead of everyone saying 5-7, it could have been 7-6, 7-5, 8-5, you know, like just something that small completely has changed the narrative of what last season was, because had they made it to 7 wins, everybody's still saying, okay, we're still building up and going in the right direction. So it's just a couple
Stray ran Patton out of town.
Yes, okay. I love the propaganda that Chew spins, and people sometimes they buy it, but we ain't buying that because everybody knows Chew don't like no kickers. They're not people. He doesn't even consider them people. But listen, look, that is a interesting thing. If Michigan State's healthy last year, health, and can snap it and kick it, hell, I don't know, man. We're looking at a whole different outlook. But look, things have to happen for a reason, and I think we'll be better because of it, man. Corey, this is awesome. Like, you know, we got to bring you back to talk more on the defensive side since Chew just ignored the defensive backs. It's okay.
That's fine.
We got time.
He ignored
Otis
the
isn't
offensive
here.
line too.
Otis ain't here. When Otis
here.
is back, we'll talk defense. We'll bring Corey on to talk defense. It'll be after the scrimmage. Okay, we got to get some more intel of what's going on over there in East Lansing behind those walls. Corey, thank you as always for coming on with that crack analysis, man. Thank you.
No problem. Anytime. And we'll have to get the offensive line next time too.
We got to go in depth.
Them too.
We went too much in depth with the offensive line.
No, we talked about the recruits, not this team. We're talking about this team.
Fair enough.
There's more of them, Chew. Come on, man. Only one back. It's 5 of us. Come on, man. You just said we got to show you love. Okay.
Right now, there's 19 of you.
Yeah, there is. 19. All right, Corey. Thank you for joining. This is Spartan MSU. Corey Robinson, 247 Sports. The analysis, man. Look, Chew. Look, there's a lot to be hopeful for. I think, the more I look at last year and look at what the outlook going forward, and look, I'm feeling good about this year.
I'm feeling really good about this year. Like I said, after Spartan Dawg Con, after listening to what Coach Tucker had to say, after listening to, the players, before they went into camp, just the way that they were talking about the season, about camp, about, they were using a lot of words like, we're going to be ready, we're ready, we, and I think they're going to be together. And I'm really excited for this season. And I think we're going to shock a lot of people. And, the people that are not here, they're not here. The people that are here, they're going to strap up the boots, and we're going to get out there September 1st when Coach McElwain and those Chippewas come to town.
At 7 p.m. on September 1st. This is 24 days, 1 hour, and some change away. We're getting there. We're getting close. No, it's actually less than that now because it's 8 o'clock. It's after. We're later.
It's 9 o'clock now.
Yeah, it's 9.
It's 9 or so.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's a countdown clock. There's actually a countdown clock on MSU Spartans website, msuspartans.com. They're counting down the days. Look, man, Chew, great show, man. As always, Otis Wiley's on assignment. We will talk with him on Thursday to find out what the news is, if we can talk about the special announcement that he may be able to bring. But don't forget, all you faithful people in the chat, that This is Sparta MSU is bringing some gear to you. Gear is on the way. Some swag for all of the loyal listeners is coming. And Chu's going to be the model.
It ain't free either.
Chu's going to be modeling it. No, not free. Not free. They don't expect it to be free, but I don't think it's going to be, a whole lot of money. But look, it's going to be good. And you got to get your gear right for this season. And we want to see you guys this year. Tailgates during the games, all kinds of special events that Chu's going to be at, along with yours truly and Otis, if we can track him down. But look, man, great time spending this evening with everyone. For Otis Wiley Jehuu Caulcrick, I'm Jason Strayhorn. This is Sparta MSU. Have a good night. God bless you, and go green.
Go white.
This is Sparta MSU is a combined presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties. The show is produced by Tony LaBarbera, Tony Gustella, and Process Driven Consulting. Additional support is provided by Brendan Duravage. On-location technical support provided by Good Fruit Video. Be sure to follow our host Jason Strayhorn, Jehuu Caulcrick, and Otis Wiley on social media. To stay up to date with all the latest This is Sparta news, please like and subscribe by visiting our link tree and tell a friend to do the same. Thank you for your support, and as always, go green.